This video is sponsored by RenderHub. Stick around to see how you can join the RenderHub 2025 Sexy Robot Contest and also how you can take advantage of their brand new learning hub. Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to askNK. Today we're going to explore a pretty cool tool called JINNY. This is a 3D fashion design tool that allows anyone without any prior experience to create 3D garments easily. This is completely free to use and is made available by the folks at Flow. It is quite interesting that no one is actually talking about this, and this tool has been existing for some time now. And with this tool, you can now start creating that 3D garment that you want totally for free. And within the course of the video, we'll talk about how you can import your ready-made garments from JINNY to Blender alongside Marvelous Designer. We'll also share some free resources and also free places you can get stuff, and I believe a lot of you guys would find that interesting. And with that said, let's get right into it. So to get started with JINNY, the first thing you need to do is to go over to the link in the description that will bring you right here where you can get started with downloading JINNY. JINNY is currently available for Windows and also for Mac. And for you to actually get started, once you're done with the installation, you can now proceed to do a simple sign in. And once you sign in, you'll be greeted with an interface that shows you a gallery of several things that have been done before. And all of these you can have access to. You can proceed to go ahead and download them and use them for your personal work. And for you to actually start creating yours, all you need to do is click on Create New Style. And this is going to show you two options. The stylist mode is a more simplified way of creating stuff. And I do believe a lot of you guys would want to go with the designer mode, owing to the fact that you might want to design your clothes exactly how you want it to be. So the first thing you get to see once you open up the designer mode is the avatar. And this can be changed by simply clicking on the change button here, and you can simply switch from male to female. And then we're going to click on continue. We can also change the hairstyle if we want. The same thing happens with the shoes, as you can also go ahead and select the kind of shoe that you would like to give your character as well. And navigating within the 3D viewport is very easy, as with the right mouse button, you can simply orbit. With the middle mouse button pressed down, you'll be able to pan left, right, up and down. And if you would like to zoom in or zoom out, once you roll your mouse forward, this makes it zoom all the way out. And if you roll your mouse backward, this zooms the model closer. Right over here is a color palette. Now within this color palette, we can choose various aspects of our model. So for example, the hair, if we like to tint or overlay a specific color, we can go ahead, find that color and drop that right on top. You'd also notice that we have a couple of material parameters right here, and you can use that to alter the color of various parts of your model as well. And once you're ready, you can now proceed to clothing by clicking on this button. And this is going to bring you right here where you have access to a ton of garments. So if you like to get the default clothing that comes with the JINNY tool, you can have them. If you like to find some which have been uploaded that are totally available for you to download and work with for free, you can find these ones right here, and you can also see some more stuff. And all of these clothings are more like templates, which means that you can definitely go all the way back and update them, work with them however you choose, as this tool will not allow you to create stuff from scratch. Instead, it offers you a lot of flexibility in terms of working with stuff that are currently available. So in this case, we can throw in that shot, click on the plus sign, and we can proceed to throw in something else. Maybe a simple t-shirt like this would be cool. So we throw that in, and we can choose where we would like this t-shirt to be. If we like this t-shirt to be all the way in front, we can have that done. And you would notice that this does the drape and the t-shirt overlaps. If we would like to tuck this in, we can click right here, send the garment layer all the way to the back, and this is also going to make a simple rearrangement, and we'll have that quick simulation happening. And speaking about simulation, if you press the spacebar, you can start simulating the cloth. So you have that going, and if we press the spacebar one more time, we can stop the simulation. You can also get started with the simulation by clicking on the button right here to get that working. Some other things that you might want to do is selecting the cloth and adjusting it. And to better explain this, we're going to simply select the shots, and we can move several points of the shot. So I can move this all the way down here. And because this works with symmetry, you notice that that adjusts automatically. So we can have that going. We don't want that. We possibly want this one to be about a point like so. And we have that there. If we press the spacebar, we have our simple simulation working. So we can simply move things around depending on what we want. And we can also press the spacebar to let that be. If we would like to make adjustment to the top, we can also do that too. So this deals with the points. So you can use this to edit the point. Meanwhile, with this other one, you'll be able to use this to edit the length. So we can move this all the way to that point, and we can use that to edit the length. You can also choose to use this to edit the overall weight. So we can do that. And once we press the spacebar, we can have that simulation happening. Other things that we can do include sewing. So we might want to edit a particular sewing pattern. We can go ahead and make those edits as well. And the way sewing works here is pretty simple. All we need to do is to select the garment which we would like to perform the sewing on, and we can simply go ahead and have it selected. So if there is a specific part of the sewing that we want to get rid of, we can have that part selected, press the backspace or the delete key to get rid of it, and right now you'd notice that that is off. So you use this button right here to edit the sew. So once we go all the way out, press the spacebar, do that simulation, you now notice that we have this tiny part turned out. We can proceed to do even more stuff with it, have that selected, get that out, and we can also proceed to just totally get this out. So once we start simulating, because this is now totally independent, you notice that this automatically creates a separate piece for us. So we can now use this separate piece to do so many other things. So at this point, if we would like to reattach this, maybe we would like to sew it back, what we can do is to simply click on the create sewing button, and we can go ahead and mark it. So we could like to start sewing from here all the way to this point. So we can have that selected, go over to this other one, have this clicked, then we can also click right here from there, and we will also do the same thing just like you have with Marvelous Designer. Click right here to have that attached, and we can also do the same thing here and repeat the same operation here as well. And once we're done, if we press the spacebar, you notice that that automatically attaches, and this is really quick and easy. Something else which is also really cool is the create pattern. So with these two selected, for us to start creating patterns, we need to select a specific part of the garment that we would like to create the patterns from. And once we have that selected, we can now proceed to click on create pattern. Now, once we do that, this extracts a section of the selected part of the garment. First off, just like we've seen with sewing, we can totally get rid of every single sewing that we have here. And in this case, if we would like to make a cape for a model, we can. So to make this cape is going to be very easy, as we can also reinitialize the same sewing thing that we've just done, which is selecting the part which we would like to attach together by clicking on one node and connecting it to the other node. And we can also repeat the sewing task to get our desired result. So once we do that, you would now notice that we have one object draping right inside. Of course, because of how the positioning is, this gets tucked in. If we like to bring this all the way out, we can drag all the way up there and this comes out. So in this case, we now have a cape for our model. We can make modifications to this cape however we want, and we can start creating interesting looking model pieces with this. And if you like to use this to style your model, you can. Because this is currently simulating, we can literally move things around just like we would in other tools that support simulation. At the same time, you can always go back, edit the sewing, and do even more stuff with it. For example, we would like to create a scarf. This is also something that is super possible. And with the simulation running, you can continually make updates to the garment however you want. And this is pretty cool. So you can now use this to create different kinds of garment that you want for your model. And this gives you a lot of opportunities for you to do all of this totally for free. Now that we're done with this, we can now proceed to talk about how we can add more stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of this one, and then we're going to readjust this as it were before. So once we have that ready, we can now proceed to add additional garments. Say for example, we would like to throw in a coat, maybe a jacket. We can simply dial that up within the search section and we can get our jacket in. So if we click on continue and make the jacket stay on the top, this is going to sit right on top of all of these other ones. And once it does, you will notice that this flaps gets tucked in too. Other things that we can do is to delete stuff. So maybe we would like to get rid of this other one. We can simply have that selected, hit the delete button, and get rid of it. And before we talk about how you can deal with colors, if you like to add some segment on your clothing, you can. In this case, I'm just going to select the pants and we can go right over here where we can add some lines. So maybe we would like to add some cutout lines like so. So you can go ahead, add one right there, and we can simply zoom all the way in, and possibly we would like to add another design, something like so. And once we're done, we can click all the way out, and you might not necessarily notice, but if you look closely, you will see that we have some crease traveling across this. And this is going to be very, very useful if you will want to add multiple colors on your model. And to see that in action, if we switch over to the color section, we can use the plus sign to find a specific fabric that we would like to assign to a specific part of our model, and we can launch that in. So I can go ahead and have that selected, click on the word complete, and that gets loaded. And once we have that loaded, we can go over to any of the specific parts and click. And once we click, we can now assign that particular texture on the specified section that we want. And that looks pretty nice. And for graphics, if you like to add specific graphics, you can do that. If you like to add buttons or, buttonholes, you can also go ahead and do all of this. So it is pretty straightforward how this currently works. Finally, how you get things out of here and bring them into other 3D tools or even use them for yourself is by simply going over to the studio mode. And within the studio mode, you can choose to pose the character how you want, take an image shot of the character, pose this however you choose, simulate this if you want to make some adjustments, and once you're done, you can also name this character. So in this case, I'm just going to name this 00102, and we can simply add a description. Now, once you're done and you like to export this, you can proceed to export as FBX, and you can also choose to save this within your PC. And once you click on the word upload, that is when all these actions will happen. Once you hit the upload button, this is going to save the file within your download folder, and that is going to be an FBX file. More so, this is also going to upload this on your personal profile on the Flow Connect platform. And right here is where others can see your file and also see what you used in designing it. More so, you can click on the load 3D view. You can use this to preview your 3D model and also the 3D models of others. Interestingly, if you like to export this and work with it even more in Marvelous Designer, you can export this as a garment file. And to do this is simple. All you need to do is click on the file button, go over to save as, and save this as a garment file. And this is saved as .zpack. And once this is saved, if you do have Marvelous Designer, you can simply go ahead and pop this open by clicking on File, go over to Open, go over to Garment, and you can open the file and bring it right here. And this is pretty cool. So every other further refinement can be done from here. And it is quite interesting how much stuff you can do with it. And if you like to export the project file, if you simply go over to File, you can also save as project file. And the difference between the garment file and the project file is the project file contains the avatar and the garment, but the garment file only contains the garments. And if you work with Blender, you like to use JINNY as your free tool for creating garments for your models and also for your characters, then this is also super possible. So you remember that when we went over to the studio section, we did export our file as FBX. That file lives within your download folder, and how you can work with this is super easy. With Blender open, click and drag in the FBX file that we exported, and we can import it. Prior to importing, what we would like to do is go right here, and I'm going to click on First Connect Children, which will get rid of those annoying joints that simply pops off the model. And if you're wondering what those are, it is this one right here. You see how the amateurs are popping all the way out? We don't want them, and that is why you need to click on First Connect Children. In this case, I'm also going to change the scale to 10 and click on Import FBX. And now that we have this file imported, what we can do is simple. Get rid of the default cube, and then we can see that we have both the model and a couple of interesting stuff, which includes the hair right here. For you to actually see the hair for what it is, you need to switch over to rendering, and within rendering we can now see that we've got the hair right here. For the most part, everything that we've got here works, including the fact that you can actually select the joint, go over to your pose mode, and you can pose this model because it's fully rigged. So we can go ahead and pose this model if we want. But then you might also notice that if we select several parts of the model, say parts like this, we don't have the clothes following it. And what we need to do to get things working is transferring weight. And to transfer this weight is very easy. We select the character, which has the weight, hold down Shift, click to select the cloth, and we can switch from object mode to weight paint. Within the weight paint mode, we click on the weight menu and click on transfer weight. And once we do that, we can click on the transfer mesh data operator menu. Within the vertex mapping, we're going to set this to nearest face interpolated. And the next thing we need to do is change the source layer to by name. And once we have this done, we can now switch back to object mode. Within the object mode, we're going to select the garment, go all the way to our modifier tab, and then we can throw in an armature modifier. And the armature that we would like to drive this is the default armature that we have here. So we're going to click and add that armature. And now once we have that ready, if we have our joint selected and we switch over to pose mode, possibly select the part like so and move that, you notice that the cloth moves. We can also select this part and you notice that the cloth moves with the character. So this is pretty easy and nice. So if you're thinking about a place where you can make your own 3D clothes quickly, easily, and for free, then you can simply rely on JINNY and get it going. One thing which I believe a lot of you guys may want to see is topology. This comes with your typical clothing topology. However, if you like to retopple this, then the folks at Node Interactive, they do have this interesting add-on that can allow you retopple literally any kind of clothes. So if this is something that you're interested in, then you can also take a look at the link in the description and get that sorted. And if you did make it to this point in the video, then here's something for you. If you go over to the Connect store, you will be able to get access to a ton of free 3D assets, and this cuts across garment, fabric, trim, avatar, and also scene. And to find this is very simple. All you need to do is go over to the store section and change the pricing to free. And once you do that, you would notice you've got access to over 11,877 items. And for garments, we have access to over 7,000 assets. And this is pretty interesting. And all of these garments are totally free for you to go ahead, download, and start creating with. And for you to get any of these garments is super simple, as all you need is to click on any of them, and then you need to add this to cart. Now once you add this to cart and visit the cart, you should be able to download them and use them for literally anything you want. So whether you want to create non-commercial stuff, or maybe commercial stuff with a Connect store, or possibly you just want to make commercial stuff for videos, images, and print, which also includes the use of 3D assets to create 2D files, for example, PNG or MP4 files, which technically is either you're making a poster or making an animation. This is also fully supported. You can also use this for games, AR, and also VR. The only caveat here is that the distribution or sale of any of these 3D files is not supported and it is fully prohibited. And if you want to get these files, all you need to do is place an order and you'll be able to download them as both FBX, GLTF, or Z Project, which you can open in both JINNY and Marvelous Designer. And if you're thinking about using JINNY to create garments for a full-size human character, then you can also proceed to do that, as there's a couple of sample models that you can use, and every single thing that we've talked about on how you can work with this tool applies to them. So whether you're trying to cut, sew, or maybe you just want to do quick simulations and get these models out, you can literally go ahead and do that. And it's quite interesting to see that there is a ton of free things that you can get at this point. So whether you're trying to use JINNY as a free tool for creating your very own garments, or you're looking for free assets that you can use in creating that very interesting garments that you always wanted to make, then there's a ton of them for you. And speaking about free stuff, you can also get a ton of free 3D models from the folks at RenderHub, as the folks at RenderHub also provide a lot of free 3D models and free 3D assets that artists can take advantage of. And speaking about cool things you can get on RenderHub, they now have a learning hub. And this learning hub is currently targeted to Blender artists, as it gives you a few tips and tricks on how to get certain things done. So whether you're thinking about getting started with visualizing in geometry nodes, or maybe you're looking at ways to create realistic rough edges, or possibly you're thinking about how you can create photorealistic human skin textures, then there's a couple of cool tips and tricks videos that are now available. And if you'd like to join the contest, then the folks at RenderHub are currently doing the RenderHub 2025 Sexy Robot Contest. This is running from now till March the 31st of 2025. with winners to be announced on April the 14th of 2025. And this comes with a prize pool of $5,550. There are certain terms and conditions that apply, so for those who would like to follow up with this, then I'm going to link this in the description. The folks at RenderHub also have an amazing gallery, and this can serve as a source of inspiration to creators. So whether you're thinking about finding some nice inspiration, getting free 3D models, joining the marketplace where you can buy or sell 3D models or even 3D assets, or possibly you're thinking about getting started with learning stuff, RenderHub is the home for you. And of course, a huge shout out to the folks at RenderHub and also Clo Virtual Fashion for making JINNY available. Tell me what you guys think about this one in the comment section, and of course if you like this video or you learned something from this, you can go ahead and give a like and don't forget to share with a friend. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing for you to hit the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or the next update. And until I see you guys in the next one, peace.